on Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
I mean, like, I don't think she's all there. No. I take that back. I do think she's all there. I think that she learned from the best.
Yeah.
Like, her mother is the master manipulator, and she learned all her techniques and stuff from her. Like, she's the Karate Kid to her mom's Miyagi.
Yeah,
But I don't think she's as good at it. I think the more interviews that she does, the more media exposure she
gets
has,
exposed.
she's going to continue to expose herself and contradict herself.
Well, that's why her mother was so successful at it, is because if you look at her mother's history, not once, I personally didn't hear about her mother seeing anybody other than her father.
Yeah.
There was no other man in her life. There couldn't be. Because
she dedicated her entire life to keeping up this facade.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't do that, because if she'd have to have a man in her life that is willing to do and go along with her bullshit.
Right. Because if she had a man in the house and saw that Gypsy was not all that she claimed to be,
right,
her facade would be over.
Yeah. And I think that her mother knew that she couldn't be with another man, because even like just dating around, bringing random men to the house, they'd be like, what the fuck's wrong? What the hell is going on with this shit? And they'd be reporting it to the police.
Right.
And you would think, though, that maybe it never crossed the mom's mind to say, well, hey, maybe I can meet a rich dude that has sympathy for me because I have this unwell daughter. Right. And take care of both of us. I think that she was so into manipulating the state and state programs and everything like that she was like, well, fuck it, I don't need to find a rich dude to take care of me. This is she was manipulating the state, let alone a man. You know, she was on a higher fucking level than that. You know what I'm saying?
She was on some other stuff. But the reason why she was so successful is because she kept to herself.
She did not use social media like Gypsy is doing now, where so many people can point out bullshit.
And interviews.
Right.
Everything's recorded.
Right. Like back in the day, well, I say back in the day, but this hasn't been too long ago. Social media wasn't as big as it was, you know, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, or whatever.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to convince thousands and thousands of people. She only had to convince a few people that she was telling the truth, and that happened to be the people that mattered, which was the doctors.
Right. But if you think about it, everything that has gotten Gypsy Rose has been because she has physical evidence. Like, the text, the tweets, the comments, the conversations, it's all there. Her mother is all speculation.
Eventually, people can put together all her interviews and say, well, wait a minute, she's saying something different here. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and
like
that's what's starting to happen.
Speaking of that, you want to play that video?
Yeah, we can jump right into that. But yeah, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead. We're going to play you a little clip of what's going on.
I don't know if y'all watched the documentary on Lifetime, but it seems like since Gypsy's been doing all these interviews, I'm starting to catch minor discrepancies in her story. Just listen to how she switches up on Nick.
I was fully aware that I could walk, that I could eat, that I didn't need the feeding tube, that I didn't have a seizure disorder. I was even suspicious that I didn't have cancer. When my mother got the power of attorney papers saying that I'm incompetent to care for myself, it really became clear to me that I was trapped. Because if I was to attempt to run away again, the cops would just bring me right back to my mother because she's got these papers saying that, like, I'm mentally challenged. My exes and even my husband
is like, baby, if you would have asked me that question, if you would have said, hey, can you call my mom to get me out of this situation? They would have said, no. Okay, no, we're not doing that.
Let's go to the police.
Let's go to the police. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of this situation, but let's go to the authorities, all right? And we're gonna do this the right way. Nick did not say that. You know, he has these dark fantasies. He wanted to do it. It was a fantasy he lived out, and he's paying the consequences for that.
Yeah, so right there you can tell that she in one interview she says it doesn't matter if I would have went to the authorities, they wouldn't have done anything. And then in the next clip she's placing the blame on Nick, that Nick didn't suggest that they should go to the authorities.
Right. And
so it's like,
but it's physical evidence that he tried to get her to just run away with him.
Right. Like she admitted in that first clip that it's pointless to go to the authorities. It's pointless. So she's constantly saying that she knew that going to the authorities was an option, and she convinced him, and she said, no, they won't help.
Right.
So when you tell somebody who has his problems that they won't help, then in his mind, that option is off the table now.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way.
But then the next clip, she places the whole blame and saying, no, he should have been mentally more stable enough to suggest that we go to the police.
Right.
And it's like, well, you just said that you told him it was worthless. So which one is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, she's starting to stick her foot in her mouth. But the thing is like, you already have that right there, and nobody's saying anything.
Well, you know, the old saying is the person who has questions is likely innocent. The person who has all the answers is likely guilty.
100%. But she admits she's guilty.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what's so
irate about this goddamn situation.
That nobody seems to be able to. I think that's didn't we hear something about how Nick was trying to get a new trial because his lawyers didn't do him justice in that? Mm-hmm. And I think he's kind of realizing that he needed some lawyers to say exactly what the fuck we're saying. I don't think his lawyers did.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, she's sitting there saying that this was like Nick's sick dark fantasy, but the documentaries that we've watched, I never got that this was something he wanted to do.
That he had this burning desire to kill somebody, and that this was his opportunity. It was never like that.
Well, to play devil's advocate, let's for once say that was true.
Okay.
Let's say that is true, that he did want to play this dark character, one of his personalities, whatever. Well, she played into it by creating a personality to match that, which fueled his like desire as that personality, right?
Right.
So it's still she was getting in his non-reality, which leaked out to reality.
Yeah.
But it it's just so wrong on so many levels.
It's kind of like I ask you right now to kill somebody. You're like, fuck you, dude. I'm not going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
But then you have a disorder and another personality comes out, and I recognize that, and I talk to that personality, and that personality goes, fuck yeah, I hate everybody. I'll kill somebody.
Yeah. Who do you want me to kill?
Yeah.
So the question
I manipulated you, but not necessarily you. I manipulated somebody else inside you. That's like some fucking high villain Spider-Man shit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is like being a villain to the max.
Like, I didn't convince him to kill, but I convinced his subconscious to do it.
But she's lying, because in the confession video, when they're at the police station, the lady said, "Do you think you would have killed her mom if she hadn't asked you to?" He says, "No, I didn't want to kill her."
He said, "I wouldn't have killed anybody."
I wouldn't have killed anybody.
I mean,
I didn't want to kill nobody.
Right. That right there shows you that, if anything, it should have been labeled a crime of passion.
Oh, 100%. But here we are, like, and she's, oh God, it's just so fucking, aggravating, the fact that it's it's right in the open. It's not even being like hid, and people are just like turning a blind eye to this shit.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the culture that we live in. It's the culture.
This world is fucked.
Well, the culture that we live in, we would rather keep somebody comfortable than talking about the truth. We would rather play into somebody's fantasies and delusions than to keep them in reality. But the fact of the matter is, you know, you might not live in reality, right? But reality is certainly going to happen to you. And in this case, it seems like all reality has just vanished. I mean, it's almost as silly as the men becoming women and shit like that.
I figured that was going to get brought up because, I mean, to me, it's the same thing. Pretending to be something you're not.
Right.
And then feeding into it. But, I mean, is this the beginning of the end? Like, is this where we're going to... Is it going to get worse?
I think so, because society is being influenced by I don't where is it coming from? Is it coming from the media? Is it coming from leftists? Is it coming from Hollywood? Is it a combination of everything? Like, this world is more and more getting out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly out of touch with reality. Things that we valued in the past are not being valued anymore, which is truth, logic, and common sense. They're not being, that used to be the first and foremost thing that we look for, and then we can talk about the shady shit afterwards, right? Now it's the shady shit first, and everything else, the truth and the common sense are being put on the backboard to people's feelings. Back in the day, if you felt like a tree, or if you felt like a fucking cat, or whatever you identify as, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Why can't they still be fucking crazy? Like, to us, they're still fucking crazy. But society is telling us, no, we're the bad ones.
Speaking of that, Gypsy Rose said she was complaining that TMZ called her a felon. She's like, I don't identify as a felon. Bitch, you are a felon.
Yeah, you were convicted of second-degree murder. You did 8 out of 10 years. You went to prison for second-degree murder. You will always be a felon.
I'm going to give it a year, maybe a couple of years, before she says she's not a murderer. Like, she's going to backtrack on her story. Mark my words.
Yeah, I can see that, because in the beginning of all of her speeches, she has admitted, I did tell him to do it. Mm-hmm. And more and more interviews come out. She's staying away from that, and she's putting it, he wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. That's becoming
she's
the
trying
narrative
to spin
now.
The narrative, yeah.
So while she's in prison, it's, I'm going to take responsibility, but I need a second chance. Now that she's out of prison, it wasn't my responsibility. It was all him. It has changed. Mm-hmm. And that's slowly like leaking out now. People are seeing that. Her mindset is totally changed. While she was in prison, it was all about taking responsibility, and it was all about getting my story out. Yes, I did this, but this is why. Now that she's out, it's, you know, I didn't really do it. It was all him.
Because she had to, in order to look good in prison.
Right. She wanted...
She's playing the system like her mother did.
She wanted the system, and she wanted us to say, she's honest. Look, she's admitting to what she did. That means that she's going to be honest. And now that she's out, it's switched up. It's, I'm not going to take any responsibility for it. Now that I'm out, now that I got what I wanted. It's the same thing that she did to Nick. She played into him, and then after he'd done it, she played dumb.
Yep.
It's manipulation 101 that you said that she learned from her mother, which is exactly what happened. And she's doing it in real time. She's doing it in real life. We're seeing it unfold between our eyes. Some people out there, because they can't get past the abuse, cannot see it, and they're the